Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews, and welcome back to more of The Haunting of Hill House. The show is so nice, I am reviewing it twice. Um, yeah, so if you, like I've said on the other videos, I already did a two-part kind of general review of the show on the channel. You can look that up on here if you want to get like mostly a non-spoiler review. The second part does have some spoilers, some big, of the main plot line. But when I was doing it, and even as I was watching the show, about halfway through the show, I was like, man, I wish I had just gone back and reviewed all the episodes. So that's what I'm doing now, because I feel like it's that good that each episode deserves its own kind of breakdown and review. So this is episode 3. So full spoilers if you have not seen the episode. It's called Touch. This is Theo's episode. And this is some dark shit. It is one of the best episodes of the series. And a lot of this goes to Kate Siegel and McKenna Grace, who play young and older present-time Theodora, who has the ability to, when she touches something, she can, sense things about objects and people. It's a type of psychic nature, but it's not like she can't read your mind, but she can like get a sense of things. I feel like like an empathy, like an empath. It varies to certain things. It's more like she can see what has happened, or what's going to happen in a way. All the kids seem to, and I like one of my commenters, Dan, pointed out that all the kids seem to have some sort of ability to varying degrees. I'm not sure how many of them really do, or if it's so subtle sometimes you wouldn't notice it either way. But I do like that idea, because their mom is sensitive, so I guess it's just makes sense that at least some of the kids would have it. I don't know if Steve does, but I mean, they all can kind of see things, but they all do. But I think that's got to just do with the main over, what's happened to them. So yeah, Theo, this, we get right away that, I mean, some people might even think that she got the ability after the ghost grabbed her. In the beginning, holding her hand, like the touch connection. I think she always had it. I think that kind of like when they talk about like a comic book thing, but like for the X-Men kind of thing, where they kind of, as they get a little bit older, maybe they become, their abilities come out as they get near puberty. I don't know. Maybe the situation with the holding of the hands just kind of brought it to light. Maybe she always had it and really didn't understand it. But in this, like, this just keeps happening to her, and it keeps getting worse and worse. Little Luke in this is just so freaking adorable. Just when you think Nellie is the only cute one in this, Luke's little Coke bottle glasses and the way he talks, and in the elevator, it's a perfect size elevator. Size elevator, like just like Nell, who can hard to say no to. When he's in the elevator and that you should, the dumb waiter, and you shouldn't let him be in there. It's kind of like, how do you say no to that face? Well, in this case, you really need to, because that's why an adult would have not gone through with this. It takes another kid to let him go down the dumb waiter. Also, we see, her life as a child psychologist, kind of, or like a PhD in child psychology, I think. How she uses that ability to get reads on what's wrong with children. And after what they went through, again, you can see why she ended up in that field, but also why, with what happens, with what she can do, why being a child psychologist makes sense for her. And this is where, let's just talk about that part of the story real quick. The little girl that has this guy that she calls Mr. Smiley, that lives in the basement and has a really big smile. She's a foster kid, and you know, it gets in her head. It gets into Theo's head, the story the kid tells her, and how it's in the basement and it's over her and it's got this big smile, but it's not happy. And when she goes over there to look in their basement, and I love how, it takes its time getting to that moment where she touches the couch. And then when she's on the couch, how it just all just floods her with the terrible thing that has happened on this couch. And the realization that Mr. Smiley is a water stain or just a mark on the wood that looks like a smile of where the foster father was molesting the little girl. Just a terrible, terrible image. We don't see any of this. We just know what happened through her acting. We know exactly what happens, and it's an incredible way to reveal a very terrible thing. Just visually, it's hard to get out of your head what that character was going through. I love how she just kind of takes this guy down. When she's like, "What are you looking?" He's like, "What are you looking at?" And she's like, "I'm looking at your smile." Oh, just real dark, real dark stuff. And also, it comes up with the walls that Theo builds up for herself through the touching, knowing too much, feeling too much, not being able to do things about things, but knowing too much about people and things, and just not wanting to let people get too close. I can definitely agree. I do that a lot. I can be real hot and cold sometimes. I got my own issues about certain things, and so I can put up a wall so fast. And even though I know I shouldn't, once that wall is up, it is so hard to knock it down. So it's I can definitely relate, and like I said, on my reviews, I do make these things personal. I do make it, I kind of try to put myself in the shoes of the characters a lot of times, and what do I get from it. And that's what I get from it, is I see the walls that I put up for myself and how easy it is that you can do that all the time. Theo's walls, though, are way bigger than mine. Way bigger. I like how she says at the end that the little girl had put up so many walls that even she, by touching her, couldn't even sense them. And that feeling of, she just needed help, and that she wasn't there for Nellie when she needed her. And that guilt now, that the different varying degrees and reasons for guilt that all the siblings have are becoming, are being revealed in really interesting ways. The whole thing with the book, and how Shirley's take on it, that it's blood money, we can't take it, and she's got valid points, but I mean, it's like everybody's dealing with it in different ways, and Steve, being the oldest and feeling like the one that's in the most denial, did what he thought he needed to do, which was write it down, even if he is not right about everything. He's got kind of jumbled up memories of it. And Shirley, being just younger than him, being aware of things, super aware of things more than he is, being very pissed off that he seems to be capitalizing on it. And then you got Theo, who won't even read the book, who, we know ends up taking the money to get her PhD in child psychology. So she's taking what Steve did and doing something positive with it. Not that what Steve did isn't positive. It can be seen as, kind of cold and profiting off of their misery. The whole thing with the dumbwaiter was so freaking creepy. I mean, this is the second time I've seen it, and I still, even though I know it's coming, when you involve children in things like this, it just amps up the level of fear that I get. Not for myself, but for the character and what they're going through. And even though I know it's not real, I try to put myself, like, how would this person really be feeling? And I mean, the screams and the reaction and everything is so real and visceral. I mean, can you imagine being a tiny little kid with glasses and a failing flashlight and a dumbwaiter in a scary basement, and then suddenly there's a dead body crawling towards you? Jesus. And Theo on the outside not being able to do anything about it, and the guilt of that she put that in motion, and then to be punished afterwards for just it's great. And Carla Gugino does such a great job. And Olivia, Jesus, I have not been able to remember her name throughout this whole thing. And again, she's so great when she's dealing with Theo. And that voice, Carla's performance in this, just through her voice, is so great. There's so many levels that she has just through how she says things on this show. And the whole thing with the gloves, and my love, come here, my love. I love that. And the explanation of the grandmother that had the same thing. When she touches her mom and sees her just all bashed up. So it's clear she can see some sort of future. Again, they never really explain the levels that these kids are at. I mean, Theo's is probably the most, like, pronounced and easily to say, okay, this is what this is for the most part. But, like, she can see the past, she can see the present, she can see the future. And with, like, what we're going to deal with in a couple of episodes with Nell, kind of makes me wonder, like, the different, like, are they all just varying degrees of the same power? Because they really never explain too much about the sensitivity of the mother, just that she gets, like, these bad headaches. And she feels things, like in this episode where she's talking about the cold areas. And that also makes me think about things, because I've been in spots like that. And it made me think that sometimes I'll be standing somewhere where there shouldn't be cold, and there's cold. You know what I mean? Like, and you look for the vent or whatever, and it's not there. It's one of those things kind of, it happens and you go, eh. It's probably nothing, but it does make you think. And then it makes it a little more creepy. How that all goes. Sorry. Gotta move something. What else do we got here? Like how she finds the wine bottle. Henry Thomas doesn't have a lot to do in this, but... And Annabeth Gish, who doesn't get a lot to do in this series, does as much as she can as Mrs. Dudley. She's kind of a hit or miss actress. She was sometimes okay as Agent Reyes on the X-Files. In this, there's just all that mystery surrounding this, Mr. and Mrs. Dudley, who clearly know that there's something going on. I mean, they kind of jam it down our throats that they don't come around the property at night. And it kind of makes you go, okay, so they've pounded that in, that they don't come around the property at night. Why doesn't somebody say, of course, it's because the writers don't want us to, they were supposed to be part of the mystery. But again, don't put that in there. If you don't want, if nobody's going to further ask questions, like, why aren't you, what's the deal? Like, why don't you guys just, they did ask, I think once, why don't you guys just live here? But they just give that kind of blank, oh, we just don't do that. We don't live here on the property, no. Same thing as with the dogs, and it's a great mystery, but it's just kind of like banging your head against the wall, like, just tell them what you know. Come on. What else do we have here? Well, when Theo goes to after she finds out about Nell dying, talking about how Nell knows what this would do, it still shows that they don't understand what happened to them when they were kids. And in this is where I believe Theo understands finally, when she touches Nell, and that great just kind of nothing And as she pulls back and just quickly has that just emotional change, just everything washes over her. Like, it wasn't like touching the couch. When she touched the couch, it was just this flood. Like, just like tap, boom. And this, she had her hands on her for a while, and then she stopped. And then it just kind of went and fell on the ground and screamed and cried. And that just wave that hit her, she understands what happened now. And it was kind of, when they show the last night where she touches her dad and sees what happened, that, you know, something terrible happened with their mother. It's like she doesn't know the full story, so she's acting like a kid, you know, like, don't touch me, like it's too much information. She's been terrified now, and something's happened to her mother. And since she touched her father, I'm thinking that she presumes that he did something to her, because there's just nothing in those images but violence, flashes of smashing and pushing and just chaos. And I feel bad for, you know, as of right now, like Henry Thomas and then Timothy Hutton's characters as the father, just being like the one that they all think is like, you know, not telling, he hasn't told them the truth about things, and that confusion that would lead to anger and not wanting to be around that person, and you know, distancing yourself purposely from that person. Even though they don't know the full story, which we, of course, again, will find out later on. I still have so much sympathy for Henry Thomas, because he's kind of like the punching bag, but he's doing it on purpose. He's letting himself be the punching bag and letting himself be the one that they hate. But they shouldn't hate their mother either. But just he's willing to protect his children. He's willing to sacrifice his relationship with them. Man, I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else here, anything major. Just the performances of McKenna Grace and Kate Siegel. Just, again, great casting for the young actress and the present day actress. It's just unbelievable. I think the only ones that are two, like, are Steven and Luke's. Just because Luke, as a kid, looks nothing like the giant that they cast. We'll talk about that more in his episode that comes up next. And Steven, I guess that's pretty similar. It's not as similar as the girls, though. Just, they can't touch it. It just can't. So that's about it for Touch. Yeah, this scene just like freaking is amazing. And yeah. I do think that the very last shot, though, where she's saying "don't touch me" as she's in bed with the girl saying "touch me" is kind of interesting. That, you know, but that's about it. Yeah. So might as well move on to the next one. Great episode. Great scares. Great drama. Great emotional and just dark, man. Just freaking dark stuff. Oh yeah, she does talk about to Shirley's husband about the checkbook. And make up a story like a mistress, something that'll piss her off worse than the truth. And the worse than the truth is that they took the money, right? That they took the money that Steve offered. That, I kind of spoiled the future episode there, but that would piss her off more than an affair. That's crazy town. So anyway, if you liked this video, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Let me know what you thought about this. Give me, you know, insights. If I missed something and you want to talk about it, go ahead and put it in here. Just let me know what you think of the show too, as well. We will be back with episode 4. I believe that's Luke's episode. And yeah. So this is Robert Smirking Interview saying thanks for all the support, everybody. We are already past like 410 subscribers, so that's amazing. I want to thank everybody for checking me out, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.